welcome back to another episode of Hard Hats and Headspace. It's summer holiday, so as you can imagine, lots of people currently on holiday at the moment, so enjoying the summer. Makes it a bit more difficult to put guests in, but we've got about 6 lined up, or I've got about 6 lined up. But I thought I'd do a little recap on where I've been with people so far. So 28th of June was the first time we loaded a proper podcast up, and that was with the boys from What About You, Johnny Pankhurst and Matt Collins, my great mates, 2 night managers working for Mace over at Heathrow Airport. And what they're trying to do has been fantastic. So we'll look at that, we'll recap that, and then we had Osei, who's a wonderful young man, going to be great, have a good career in construction. We talked to Lauren Rimmer from Construct Change, outstanding what she's achieved. Spent a lot of time in recruitment, found that there's more to life than recruiting. She's got some really good ideas about how we can be more socially responsible as an industry. So I enjoyed that conversation with her. Then my wonderful pal, Paul Stevenson. That's an episode to go back and listen to time and again. Really enjoyed that one. It was good fun, really good fun. Tom Chapman, dying to get him on from the moment I thought I had a podcast to talk about and to share with the world. I knew I was going to get the great Tom on. So that was a good, fun hour spent with him, catching up. Need to do more of it. Then slightly different, we had Sarah Rhodes from different industry, but our paths crossed. We worked together for a previous employer, and I know Sarah and her husband Will very well, and thought it'd be interesting to look at someone who had taken a different view on a different approach to inclusion. It was inclusion for people who wanted to put family first, business second, and proving that it works. So Sarah's episode was great, and to see her thrive, see her business thrive, and the people that she works with, and watch them every day. Absolutely loved that. So again, another one to have a good listen to. Then we had an impromptu episode with Phil Ridgewell, CEO of the Core Group and its many businesses. Now, Phil and I go back to about 2011. I've known him a long time, and as mates more than anything, which is brilliant. But watching his business, it was connected to mine without a shadow of a doubt. It's in the same industry. We don't necessarily do business together. But I'd seen him on in LinkedIn, giving us an update on Ridgewell's Roundup, which I always think should have a theme tune, a bit like Woody's Roundup in Toy Story, but Ridgie's Roundup. It was interesting to listen to him. And I thought, bloody hell, he looks tired. So I rang him and he said, I am, because I've been working hard. And I've had so many calls, Stu, saying, well, Phil, you look worn out, mate. You look battered. So he said, let's have a chat. And I said, well, should we do it on a podcast? So take a listen to that and the flipping ice cream man who decided to join us during recording twice in one afternoon. Thankfully, we didn't have any kids coming running through the door going, Dad, can we have a 99 or a bloody ears or whatever they call them these days? So anyway, I digress. And then episode 8. Wow. What a corker that was. Nick O'Shea, who I'd heard on a few other podcasts. A shout out to Jenny Armstrong and her podcast, I thought was fantastic. And she'd had Nick on, and Nick was listening to see me post on Jenny's podcast LinkedIn page for Build and Thrive. And he got in touch and said, Stu, I'd love to talk to you. What you're doing, our worlds and our thought processes are similar and collide. So let's get together. And when Nick came on the podcast, I'd never met him before. So that was the first one in episode 8, where he was a new person to me. And I think what I enjoyed about listening to his story was it was relatable. I see those people, I hear those people every day at work. It makes me want to do more to help people, made me look at my own habits, maybe, and recognize some things about myself and about those that I work with. So I'm going to upload some clips from each of those, talk a little bit on the in-between parts. I'm sure there's a technical word for that. Transitions, that's it. I've seen that somewhere. So I'm not going to edit this much. I'm putting this out here. I want to be there in your minds and just sharing a bit. And then I'll wrap up with some thoughts from me. So I hope you enjoy this shorter episode. And trust me, when we're back end of August and into September, I've got some great guests lined up. Steve Kerslake from Construction Sport. Thanks, by the way, Steve, for the shout out on your podcast last week. Elvin Box. I'm just going to wait until that one comes out and we're going to let it roll. That's going to be fun. I'm doing these in person. And then I've got Ray Higgins, friend of mine from Phoenix, ME, is going to be on the podcast as well. So it should be some interesting couple of weeks. Kate Marchant is an HR consultant. We're debating what we're going to use as the content of our podcast, but it will be fun, I'm sure. And it's always good. We always have a laugh, Kate, when we catch up. Like it hasn't been that long, even though it's actually been years. So we'll see how it goes. So I hope you're all having a wonderful summer, and I look forward to hearing your comments and catching up and hearing from anyone who wants to join us on the podcast as well in the future. Enjoy.
When we first started this back in May last year, we purchased a soup and smoothie maker that we used to take into the office. I say we, that Chef Johnny.
Chef Johnny.
Chef Johnny used to, we used to get guys coming in, and I'm talking. Sometimes it was 20 minutes, wasn't it, to make a mushroom soup from scratch. That's taking the mushrooms out of the packet, prep, and then cooking it while you're out on site or doing some stuff for a really nutritious meal.
Yeah.
You know, those we'd do one on a Monday. More often than not, we'd get a couple of days out of it. It was cheap. It was wholesome. It was filling. It was fresh. It was organic.
So recording with Johnny and Matt was a bit of a privilege for me, my first ever episode. And I thought getting them raw, they'd never done a podcast before. I'd never hosted one. And getting them to talk about something they were really passionate about. Johnny talking about hygiene and health and well-being and mental well-being and wellness in general, the life of a night shift worker. Things that we just can't quite get right for night shift workers because naturally we're supposed to be asleep in these times. And when I say we, I don't mean generally the people that we work with next to them all the time. It's us as society. So I recommend listening to Johnny's podcast and Matt's podcast with me. And then we'll have a look now at Ose. A little listen to one of his clips.
Well, I'd say first of all, be open-minded. I'll say three things. One, be open-minded. Be open-minded to opportunities. Don't see an opportunity and before you've taken that step, you've already let fear defeat you. So be open-minded because people are willing to help. People are willing to give answers to questions, and that takes me on to the second thing is be curious. I think by curiosity, like you somehow find that path that is meant for you through curiosity by asking the right questions, by prompting the right questions from people. I found that people are almost eager to mentor these days. I think there are lots of potential mentors, but sometimes we don't think of the fact that we need to create that avenue for people to be able to mentor us. So I think by asking the right question, the right environment is being created for that mentor-mentee relationship.
So Ose was a lovely person that I met at the CIOB Tomorrow's Leaders event back in November 2024. I was asked to go along by Hayes and the CIOB and talk about my career. So some good advice from him. Next up, I had Lauren Rimmer come on the podcast, and I love Lawrence. He's such a positive character and someone who I've grown to really enjoy working with. She's got some great vibe about working with someone who comes from the Northwest, same as me, but more so wants to do well by people, wants to do really well by people. And I think, when that's a driving force, that it becomes a vocation. So it was interesting talking to Lauren.
Run by the lovely Canute, and they had somebody come in and talk about neurodiversities and the types of neurodiversity, and they asked everyone to raise their hand and say who had a neurodiversity. And I looked around the room and I thought, oh, that's brave. And then they started talking about autism and went through that, and then they started talking about ADHD, and this feeling just washed over me, and I was like, somebody just explaining exactly how I think all of the time, and I really didn't realise it was different from anybody else for my entire life until that point. It was quite scary. Realization. I think I blacked out for a little while just thinking about I should do with ADHD, thinking about all of it really, and everything just sort of made sense from that point.
On our side.
I think construction has an issue with drugs and alcohol. I mean, if we're talking plainly and really openly about it, I think everybody's probably been on a night out in construction where somebody around them has been taking drugs and drinking. I do think there's a really inherent link with well-being, and we've got some really shocking statistics in the industry, unfortunately. We've got 2 workers die by suicide every working day, and workers in the construction industry are 4 times more likely to die by suicide.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed Lauren's episode. Good insight. We're friends. I want to see her business thrive and flourish. I think that this platform can help do that, all the better. But she's really got her head screwed on, and everything that we need to do as part of our society and construction as well can add to social responsibility. She's got locked down, so get in touch with her. Next, we moved on to Paul Stevenson. Great fella. Love Paul. All right, so Paul's probably most famous, and I would say famous, for being a Tourette's ambassador. Paul lives with Tourette's syndrome and a number of other neurodiversities, and has his own mental health battles. So loved talking to Paul. Definitely going to do more with him in the future. He's a wonderful man. I'm lucky to know him in my life. He's great.
But I've been inspired by you. I've said that earlier in this session, and you came down, you stayed at ours, and I think what I noticed when we were together was the more you relaxed, just see your body letting you relax, and I think that must be a rare but nice situation for you.
Feeling. Usually in a state of fight or flight because it's Groundhog Day. Or that certain people are going to react in a certain way to my tics. I understand it as well, if feeling. Or that certain people are going to react in a certain way to my tics. I understand it as well, if I shout something out, it's going to startle somebody. And they've only got a few seconds to assess whether, is this a threatening shout? Is this guy on drugs? And it's been terrible, especially having a young family. I experienced a lot of things, people following me around, filming me on videos, and I understand the curiosity. But I'll tell you something, one thing I didn't do was get angry.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get angry because I thought, I didn't know anything about Tourette syndrome until it started with me. I have judged somebody in a negative way. Would I have perception of him been wrong? And I think it probably would have been. So
that session with Paul was fantastic. Really enjoyed talking to Paul, and that should get him well on the way to more podcasts. I know he's recorded some others, so keep your eye out for them. Then episode 5 was my mate Tom Chapman. Love Tom, love working with him, love everything that the Lions Barber Collective stands for and is here in the world to help us with. So it was a no-brainer asking him. So here's some clips of my conversations with Tom.
The power of a haircut, license to touch, that intimacy, the oxytocin that's released from it, the dopamine, the endorphins, it's great. You feel better, you look better, you build a relationship with that person. I think, it does. Cool. I think the hair and beauty industry is incredibly undervalued in society. It's seen as something you do if you can't do anything else. Not only is it a hugely skilled job, but job itself, they're also saving lives daily.
Well, that's when my daughter's going into that field.
She's going to be studied at Brighton Met, media, hair and makeup,
Amazing.
as her chosen path.
Of working with Tom and doing what we can for people in the world of work. Mental health is a really big issue, and there's so many wonderful opportunities and offerings out there for everyone. There's nothing I would say don't do that. I hear a lot of people criticise efforts by people to help people with mental health issues. If you're trying to help, you're doing a good thing. If we're talking about it, we're doing a good thing. The Lions Barber Club Collective, just happens to be my favourite, but it's incredible. It's an added thing, and I've not found anything else like it or as good as it, in my opinion. That doesn't mean I dislike anything else in the sector. So reach out to Tom, listen to his TED Talks, and look up his £1.7 million haircut documentary. That's good. Next guest we had was Sarah Rhodes, and this is the one clip that I absolutely adore and has gone somewhat, I don't know, like saying it's gone viral, but it did go viral, and it's incredible. So in the comments, let us know, what biscuit would you be?
If you could be a biscuit, what biscuit would you be and why?
Oh. Well, right, being a massive Peter Kay fan, it'd be wrong of me not to say an hobnob. Dip me again, right? Because you just don't break into the tea. Like, the constitution of a hobnob, it should just dissolve because it's just oats and bits and somehow it sticks together. But, you stick a rich tea in, gone in it, it's hot, right? Hobnob, in and out.
It's a
That would be me.
reliable
You just keep
biscuit.
dipping me. You can dip me again, and I'll come out and I'll still be there together, no matter how much shit you put into me.
Love that.
Yeah, Peter Kay. Dip me again. I would love to be an hobnob. It was really funny, and I really enjoyed that. A great conversation with Sarah. She's such a positive person. You can follow her, the Marine Recruiter and SLR Marine and all that stuff. The links are in the original podcast, and I'll shout out people later. But I enjoyed that. Then, I think I said earlier, my mate Phil posted his Ridgewell's Roundup at the end of a week, and I got in touch with him and said, "You look knackered, mate. You look stressed." And he said, "Well, I am. That's the job of a CEO." So I was like, "Let's talk about it." So we decided to do it as a podcast. So have a listen to some of the stuff there. Hopefully you won't catch the ice cream man butting in, messing us about.
What's the most non-construction job title you've ever heard on a project? Chief Vision Alignment Officer? Concrete Whisperer? Perhaps?
The most non-construction related title on the project. I mean, there's some that aren't real, like Unicorn Wrangler. But that's what I've seen with recruitment people like to call themselves recently. Oh yes, I actually used it on their job title. That's good.
So some pearls of wisdom there from Phil Ridgewell and myself during our rambling conversation. Because it was impromptu, it wasn't planned. It was on the cusp, wonders of modern technology and all that. So that was good. And then I had planned episode 8, which was interesting for me. It was someone I hadn't met before called Nick O'Shea, and he has a own podcast called Go Sober with Nick. Brave in our industry. How I get kids old, I was brave for saying that I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety and ADHD last year, but I'm not sure it is any less brave to be coming along and saying I'm sober. I'm an alcoholic and I'm a drug addict, but I'm clean and I'm sober. Really strong interview, and someone I want to do more with, because I do think our views are aligned on how we can help people. So here's a clip from that. So there you go. Quick recap of the first 8 episodes of this season 1. Never thought I'd have my own podcast or be putting something out there. I hope you're enjoying it, for those that are listening to it. as I always say, I'm welcome to feedback, and always have been, always will be. That's me. That's how you learn. Good, bad, or indifference. And let me know if you want to be on, or any recommendations for people you think should be part of this podcast. Next 4 the guests that I've got coming on are going to be in person in a studio, so that'll be interesting. Paul Whitnell from the British and Irish Trade Alliance will be up first, and then we've got Steve Kerslake, and I've got Ray Higgins coming along, and the enigmatic, exciting Elvin Box. So, I hope you enjoyed this recap episode, and I'm off next week, so I will miss a week. I'll see you when I'm back. Enjoy.